Hi, I'm Vanessa with Ellie and Mac, and I want to welcome you back to my sewing room and wish you a happy new year. This week, we're talking about sewing resolutions. With this new year comes new challenges and new resolutions for our sewing room. And this year I have quite a few that I would like to continue that I've learned from last year, as well as a few to add on to this year. Now, one of the things that can be really hard in our sewing room is unfinished projects. I know that unfinished projects are ones that we just start sewing and then we just kind of lose our momentum. We lose our gas. Whether it's a small mishap or if it's things are just not looking correct, sometimes we just put these projects in a bag and we throw them somewhere and hide them until we find them again. Oftentimes when I do find these projects, they no longer fit correctly, or I don't like the fabric, or I don't like something else about them. So my first challenge in this new year is to go through all unfinished projects and see the ones I would like to continue, and then just get rid of the ones that I don't, whether taking them from scraps or trying something different with the little pieces of fabric. I really would like to repurpose those projects and get them out of my sewing room. Now, there are some projects where I feel like I do want to continue with them. I want to finish them. I see the vision and my sewing skills have improved where I think I can tackle them. My next resolution is, if you watch me, sometimes I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I don't want to have just a me-made garment. I want it to be better than what I can buy at the store. And sometimes it makes me a little adverse to trying harder patterns because I want it to be perfect. I want to be perfect every time. And that is something that can even cause those unfinished projects, right? So this year, I'm going to be giving myself a little bit more grace. And I'm going to make sure that I'm doing those things that help me feel confident in my sewing, whether it is adding, you see this all the time, where I am adding more basting than the pattern even calls for, or I'm taking my time, or I'm testing my fabric. These things help set me up for success because I know where I want my project to end. And sometimes if I don't set myself up for success, I'm not enjoying it as I go. So those are some tips that I would like to continue, and I hope that you continue as well. Now, one resolution that I had last year was I wanted to make my wardrobe into one that functions, an actual wardrobe where each piece I can mix and match and they felt good together. And this was one of the best resolutions I could have made for myself. It kind of snowballed in a way which helped me improve my sewing. One of those things that I learned was to know my body and to understand my sizing and shape so I could best pick not only the patterns, but what options I was going to be picking for those patterns. I learned through my measurements and understanding other people's measurements that my rise is high. I always thought that I had this really short waist, and so that meant that my pants needed to be lower and my shirts needed to be longer, but that was not the case. What ended up happening was I realized that my pants needed to be at my actual waistline and my short shirts needed to come up a little bit more because what it was doing is not elongating. I was trying to elongate, but it wasn't defining my actual proportions, my waist. Something that helped me kind of understand this more was watching those romantic movies, whether there's so many of them, but the made-for-TV romance movies. There is a method to how they dress their actresses that I really took from them and I tried to incorporate in my capsule wardrobe that I made, as well as in my regular sews. I wanted to take those understanding my body and those proportions and really build a wardrobe based on that. Also, what I loved about this, and this is my other resolution, is not being afraid to be a little overdressed. I know sometimes we make these patterns and they're gorgeous and they're beautiful, and we're like, we have no place to wear this cute little dress. You know what? I have thrown that out the window, and I have made trousers, and I have made dresses and skirts, and I love them so much, and I wear them grocery shopping. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay if people think that I work for a bank. I'm not even kidding. My kid's pediatrician always thinks that I work at some bank doing something. And you know what? I'm okay with that because, first of all, I am comfortable. And second of all, I feel confident in what I'm wearing. And I know that it looks good on my figure. So throw out the, am I overdressed for this? And really embrace feeling good in your body. When you watch those movies, those ladies look beautiful no matter what they're in. Their casual outfits are jeans and a sweater. And I absolutely love that look of doing jeans and a sweater or wearing trousers with a jean jacket. That has been something that I have really taken away and really have enjoyed when I built my capsule wardrobe. So don't worry about being overdressed in 2026. Like, people are padding their hips, they're wearing corsets. I did a whole thing about where they're bringing back the hoop skirts. Like, wear what feels comfortable on your body and that actually complements your figure. And I promise you will enjoy sewing even more. Now, the next thing that has been on my resolution last year was not just buying the fabrics that I was comfortable with. Now, I know how to sew DBP, double brush polyester. Anyway, I can sew that. I know that it's going to work well. I understand the stretch. I got that. French terry is the same thing. So whenever I would look online, I would be like, I know what these two fabrics are going to be. And I felt so comfortable buying them. Pretty soon, my whole closet was nothing but DVP and French terry. And so stepping away from those fabrics have been really hard. Buying more sweater knits this year has been a little bit of a learning curve because I really do not like the ripples in my fabric. It's hard. And so learning how to work with different fabrics and feeling comfortable with them is something that I have improved this year, and I would like to continue improving on. And sometimes I need to lower my tension, or I need to not use my serger on this project completely. And those little tips have really helped me be able to have a little wider variety in my closet. Another thing that I'm trying to improve on is buying some quality fabrics that cost a little bit more. I am definitely somebody who likes to save money. It is a problem. I don't look at hobbies as something as a creative outlet. I definitely look at them as, oh, this hobby can save me a little money. And as my sewing has improved, I would definitely like to have some more higher quality garments in my closet. And the only way that I can get there is buying maybe some nicer fabric. So I did just buy some nice wool blend fabrics that were 50% off. And I'm hoping that those will be some really good fabrics for this year and I don't ruin them. But trying to have that confidence that I can handle making handle some of these nicer fabrics and it can only improve my wardrobe is something that's going to be a hurdle for me this year, but I have faith that I can handle this resolution, and I hope you join me in this resolution because you've worked so hard in your talent. You deserve to have beautiful garments in your closet. Speaking of doing these bigger sews with these nicer fabrics, sometimes we feel like our talent isn't there, that we're not capable of doing some of these harder things, or we're a little reluctant to try it. Whether it's doing zippers on a curve or zippers in the first place, buttonholes, all these different things that make us really need to learn our machine and understand how it works before we go into it, adding piping, all these things can be something that holds us back from the patterns that we really want to try. And so this year, since I'm new to YouTube, I have been a little scared. And so I've been doing more tests before I actually film and do the project I want to. And it has helped me it's been such a wonderful thing in my sewing room. So I definitely suggest it too. If there's something that you're scared of, give it a try without having a project. Cut out that piece, just like a little piece of the curve to add the zipper to, or try adding the buttonholes into some fabric and kind of learn your machine and understand it before you go forward. I've learned that sometimes I like to use my regular presser foot to make zippers instead of my zipper foot. And just that little tweak of what works better for me has helped just immensely. So I hope you give that a try too. Test those hard things out before you get going. Another resolution, and this is one that I started 2 years ago, and I've been kind of bad at it recently. Jessica would come over and we'd have New Sew Tuesday. Once a month, we'd get together and we'd pick a pattern that we both had and that we haven't sewed up yet. And this really helped me get more comfortable with doing new patterns, as well as it got me over that hump of trying something that I wanted maybe 6 months ago, but I didn't have the time for it. So having a New Sew Tuesday in your resolutions, like I'm going to have this year, is definitely one that will keep you going through those patterns, especially if you bought some of those amazing patterns that was an Ellie and Mac set. Like, how generous was that sale this year? Right. Another thing that I was better at in the past was having a seasonal sewing plan. I had to set dates for certain things every single year. I would start off in the fall when my kids would have school clothes. They would actually have uniforms. And so we'd start at the year where we would try to either thrift or buy whatever pants we needed, check through their old pants and see what would still work, as well as their tops. And then when December came, I was taking out the hems because my kids always seem to have a growth spurt right when January hit. And then I would cut whatever pants had the holes, too worn out in March, and then they had shorts for the spring. And this worked out so well. I had a time to mend their clothes. I had a time to let out the hems. It was just perfect. And then everything else fell into place. Like, after I got their clothes ready for the new school year, then it was time to jump right into the holiday sewing. And I just really loved the structure of this. And I really like having that time for mending. And so this year, I'm going to kind of step back into that, where I'm going to start mending all my kids' clothes in January, as well as my own and my husband's. And then whatever clothes that are not going to make it for the next round, start altering those clothes into summer clothes. So this is definitely something that used to save my family quite a bit of money. And so I definitely want to start making sure that I'm making time for those alterations and mending, and just not continually sewing new clothes. And so that is one of my final resolutions. Now, I have a resolution for everyone who has not tried it. How do you get those dark lines on your projector? And I'm here to tell you again, I use patternprojector.com. This is a free program. There is no affiliations. I do not get paid any money for saying this, but it's the truth. It is what I use. So instead of using Adobe and trying to figure out the percentage for my perfect calibration, all you do with patternprojector.com is there's no charge, there's no downloads. You just put in the size of your mats, or the size of your mats together. You just need to measure with the little middle part if you have two together. And then it's very easy for it to calibrate from there. And all you have to do is like move these little side pieces, and I calibrate it quite often, and then I invert my lines, and then I can also thicken them. So that's my challenge for anybody who is struggling with a projector, to try patternprojector.com. If there is any resolutions that I have not mentioned, make sure you put them in the comments. I would love to hear them. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, especially this year, because I am new to YouTube and I'm new to Ellie and Mac, and you guys have been so kind and gracious. You have really made me feel at home here. I hope you guys have enjoyed setting resolutions with me, and a like and subscribe would be amazing. But make sure you have a wonderful new year.